Nice. Are you going to play some taglines for us? Give us a thing.
Well, hey, this is the show. This is the show. We're getting together and we're going to talk about some shit. We're going to talk about some shit and talk about some scars.
And with that being said,
that's gold.
Welcome to another episode of the Bidness, featuring Curtis as your host, Brian as your co-host. We got some fabulous people here today. We have our musical sidekick, Mike Birenbaum from the band Easy Big Fella. You might have also seen him in other bands like the Bandulus and I think the Sentiments and what was the middle-aged ska orchestra group you have?
Oh, they're good friends, but I might have sat in with them at a private party. But they're good friends. But I'm not their keyboard player, but they have a fantastic keyboard player.
Fantastic. Next down the line, we have Phil Maresca. Phil Maresca is the man who is responsible for booking live music and keeping art alive in downtown San Jose. We all the locals know him. We respect him, and I'm really glad he's here. He's going to give us some sage wisdom. Awesome. For Filco events. And then we have Rachel Warner. She is one of my favorite bartenders and absolute wonderful people to just know. And just seeing her makes me happy. She is from the Caravan Lounge in downtown. She's going to talk a little bit about how the bars are affected by this lockdown. And then we have Robert Stokes. Robert Stokes is one of my favorite acoustic ska Goliaths. This man puts out like a song a day, and he is a great visual artist as well. He does like comic book art, and he's got a new group called the Default Valentine. It's a 2-person singing group, him and a girl, and they are awesome. They're awesome. So we're going to drop some links in the feed so that people can check all these people out. But hey, welcome to the Bidness. Everybody wave. All right.
Here we go.
So the initial reason why we put the show together is because Monkey as a band, we feel like music, entertainment, art, expression, bartenders, barbacks, door guys, bar owners, venues, everybody, there's no support, zero support. So we want to get people to realize across the world that these people have lives and they've all been affected, and we want to get them all in one room and talking. And with that being said, let me talk to let's talk to Rachel first. Rachel, tell us about the Caravan and the GoFundMe that they are doing to get support.
Okay, sure. So I work at a bar called the Caravan, which is a dive bar, but also like a small music venue. And we've been closed since March 16th. And there's really no open date in sight. And we're not the only ones. There are many businesses and venues that have been affected like that. And they're all struggling. I mean, it's something like a venue, it's a beast that feeds itself. You can't keep it going unless you're keeping it going.
Yeah.
It's just one of the things. So a regular and a friend of the owner, a guy named Little Dave, he started a GoFundMe for the Caravan to help out with expenses, mortgage payments, all that stuff. And it was really nice of him to do that. We're really grateful. GoFundMes it's such a weird, it's like, it's basically our version of socialism at this point, and our version of,
I agree.
You know, it's like it's health insurance. You know, I think one of the cool things about the digital age is that you can reach out and help somebody. You know, you can Venmo a friend $5 so they can have a sandwich for lunch or whatever. You know, so being able to fundraise in that way is really powerful. So yeah, we do have a GoFundMe. We're not the only ones. Lots of people are struggling, and I just hope everybody can get through this and we can all get back to work sometime in the next year.
Nice.
It would be nice.
You know, Brian actually did something great the other day. Our friend in Nevada was talking about how, you know, the whole thing has affected everybody and everybody shut down, and he's like, man, I just want like a fast food place to be open. And Brian's like, open your door. And he opened the door and there was Del Taco waiting for him because Brian sent him Del Taco in Nevada. And Brian is in Hawaii. That is how cool this era is.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
I will say this is a little off topic, but if you have a Touch Tunes venue, if you have a Touch Tunes jukebox in your venue, you can actually play songs on other Touch Tune jukebox and other bars.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So we always used to like play, you know, we'd like send an album of Slayer to Max Club.
Oh yeah.
And YMCA 5 times in a row in our jukebox. That was there was a regular customer at a bar in San Francisco that like her like niece and nephew would be like, hey, look, you know, we're out at our bar in San Diego partying, and we're like 20-somethings and like whatever. And they would always be at the same bar, and they had Touch Tunes, and she would priority play the entire Little Mermaid soundtrack.
Last call.
It was just like it was like cut from Jay-Z to Kiss the Girl.
Nice.
Secretly, when we're on tour, we all sing the Little Mermaid.
Oh yeah, no,
tune.
it's the most played album in the entire like on tour.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, the GoFundMe link is in the feed. So if anybody feels like throwing a couple of ducats at the Caravan, we all miss the Caravan. We love the Caravan. The Caravan, people who haven't been there, there's no stage. There's no stage. There's just two odd matched speakers that are kind of on these rickety stands, and there's a little tiny mixing board, and there's a door guy, like he shuts his door on the second door so that he can go run the sound, and he's like, okay, that's good enough, and he goes back and runs the door, and people pile in. It's free. None of the bands, you know, we don't get paid, but we get like free drinks and stuff. And it is something that even the biggest bands out there will come back and play the Caravan because of the love that room has. So
I say bands get paid.
Oh, you know what? That's right. No. Did I?
That's kind of important.
I'm confusing you with.
We're one of the few that do that make sure that the bands each get at least like a little something. But yeah, they split a percentage of the store. So
Brian is like, boo, Curtis, boo.
So Kurt's done talking for the rest of this episode, guys. I'm going to take over now. And I'm going to talk about what the Caravan means to me just for a quick moment. The Caravan is home, like Kurt was saying. It is the last bastion of punk rock in San Jose, period. End of story, end of question. And if it were to go away, that last bit of like real soul, at least in bars and venues, will be gone. Like, don't get me wrong, like I love the Ritz. The Ritz is great. The Ritz has a fucking great stage and great sound and great people staffing it. And we played some great shows there, but nothing comes close to the shows that I've played at the Caravan.
Oh, you feel good. Thank you.
There's something very real about it.
Yeah.
With Cinnabar down last
They didn't do shows though, did they?
No, but there's still that punk.
Yeah, and that was And that was it. You just you left the Cinnabar, you ran on the Caravan, you had a couple pops at the Caravan, you ran back to the Cinnabar, had a couple, that was your little and it's yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and so many venues have had to close.
Yeah.
It's awful
rough.
how many places are gone now that were there for so long.
Yeah.
Not just in San Jose, but
everywhere.
The whole Bay. I mean,
yeah,
the whole Bay.
Yeah.
Just memories of my youth getting knocked down one after another.
It's hard.
Yeah. So
we'll have a good cry afterwards.
Yeah.
It's a crisis for the arts in general. I mean, music is a huge part of it, and venues are obviously the biggest part of music. But the arts in general are just not considered a priority right now, and it's our soul. I mean, we've lost our soul, and we've lost it now for almost a year. And it's going to be hard to get it back. I mean, and so many people, they talk about all the businesses that are suffering, but the arts is something that we just need in our soul.
Absolutely.
Well,
absolutely. 100% agreed.
Well, they all seem to feed upon each other, I mean, you have your bartenders, you have your bands, you have, sound people, DJs, we're all kind of in the same place.
And that feeds the restaurant. Once the arts venues come back, then the restaurants will fill up, because it's the same people that are going out and they're eating in the restaurants and they're drinking in the bars and they're buying tickets for the venues.
Yeah.
But just to think about the Caravan, it reminded me growing up in Lexington, Kentucky. I wasn't necessarily a punk rocker, and I had yet to I'd seen the English Beat and a couple of ska shows, but I hadn't really got into ska as I did, after college and moved up to Seattle. But there was, these essential clubs and bars, when I started, I was 13, 14. I was totally underage. I played at a place called the Pralltown Cafe, but there was another place called Cafe LMNOP, and this Dragstar kind of owned it, and he was put us under our wings, but it was, especially in a small town. I mean, I know the Bay Area is a little different, but it's a crossroads for people in smaller towns to see music other than themselves. So I had in high school I had like a synth pop band, and we would play with a punk rock band, and then a guy that looked like a clone of Bono with a really horrible band, and we'd all share the stage together. But that's a kind of sometimes I think about these bigger, the city, there might be taking a financial hit, but when I think sometimes I'm thinking about a smaller town, and maybe they're getting away with it a little bit more, but I don't know. But it's just that that crossroads of community. I've met so many different people. It was an eye-opening experience as a kid, but I'm just thinking about now. If you can't get it done online, then you're not in a, I don't know, you're missing out. So hopefully we can get beyond this.
Yeah,
definitely. What are you doing, Robert? What are you doing now that everything is encapsulated online? Like what's your day-to-day experience like?
I guess my situation's a little different because I work on the Strip, so I wait on people every day. Since June it's been open.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a weird experience, to go to work and people just take their masks off right away. So I don't know. And the way I look at there's situations that open up where we can play that are restaurants where people are seated.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been actually playing live in Vegas, which is
Yeah.
But everybody's seated. I'm like, well, it's like me going to work every day, you know? I mean, Vegas is like, you know, it's been crazy. Like New Year's was crazy. Like just the amount of people that come to town is insane. You wouldn't think of it. You know, it's like California shut down, so everybody comes to Vegas to hang out, and then
Coming to Honolulu too.
Yeah, I could imagine why it's crazy too. You know, but I mean, it's just one of those weird things where I'm like, well, should I play music? Because it's like I go to work every day and I deal with. It's the same scenario as I'm working, so I don't know. It's been kind of weird, to be honest. I mean, I make music pretty much every day. I try and make a song a day. And
is it an ebb and flow with just the traffic on the strip? I can imagine it might. I'm sure it picks up on the weekend, but
yeah.
I mean, does it get? You know,
during the week, like Monday,
it's like a desert or something, and then it's just like, you know, off the rail, and then back to.
It kind of is like Monday through Thursday. It's like it's really slow, and we don't have any conventions. All the conventions are shut down. So, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday feels like the same. Like when I go into work, it feels, and since we have 25% staff, it's. I'm still busy. I'm still waiting on 5 tables at a time. So for me, it doesn't feel any less busy. But sadly, they've laid off a lot of staff, or we've had to cut back because they don't have as many people working. But it's been kind of unreal going to work every day since June. You know, like when I was watching, I'm like, shoot, I'm like, I'm not at home
here.
Yeah, it's not happening in California for sure. Like but Vegas is just, you know, I don't know. The rooms were like, I think they were like $10 a night or something. So we're getting like, it's absurd the amount of people we're getting that would never be able to normally afford a Vegas trip, or just you know, it's so cheap to stay at a hotel right now.
Road trip.
Yeah. I mean, they were giving rooms away free if you you know, you had a player's card.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just.
I have one, but it's a card, but I wrote player's card on.
That's cool. I'm sure it'll still work if they're giving away free rooms. You know.
They're like, what's your player's card number? You're like, 1.
Oh,
they're like,
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, for that time,
I'd like 3 pints.
That time we were shut down. I don't know. I always focus on music. To me, it's like I should exercise as much as I do music, but I don't. You know? But it's kind of crazy. I have about 3 years ago, I did a daily song for 136 days in a row, and then, you know, with vocals and writing and everything, and then it kind of broke me a little bit. It made me go, well, I have to do this now. So now when I don't make like 3 songs in a week or 4 songs in a week, I feel like I didn't do anything. It's a weird exercise that I got involved in. I don't even care if people
just start writing songs for me. I'll just start singing them.
It's very admirable.
I can do that. We should totally work on some stuff.
Yeah, I can see a collaborative album. We got Stokes on the writing and the acoustic guitar. We got Birenbaum playing the organ.
We're getting a dance started here.
Gonna be the default monkey fella.
Yeah. Well, Rachel and Phil can you know, dance on the side and toast and like maybe play like a bongo.
Speaking of that, I want to show you what I got for Christmas.
Show me. What'd you
For my
get?
sister. I thought you would enjoy this.
Oh boy.
Oh.
My daughter got some.
Wait for it.
All right, I have questions. You have 4 feet. What's going on here?
for it?
Are you an octopus? Oh God!
All nerds here.
Okay, so I have to apologize. I use a Mac at home, and Apple just did this push. They were like, "Oh, everybody get on their new platform," and everything's been breaking ever since. So, big apologies. We'll pick up wherever we left off.
Thanks,
Apple.
Last I saw, you were diving under the table. So,
Steve Jobs, you just lost a job.
So
I believe Antifa just came to get you.
Rachel was showing us her shoes, and I was just showing her my shoes. I have ones that are in a box, waiting for the ones that I'm wearing to go bad.
So clean, waiting.
That is how ska we are.
Oh my God! My mom would never let me own a pair like that because she knew I'd ruin it. You know, watches and white shoes.
Yeah.
Well, it's never part of my life.
The ones that I'm wearing, the rubber around the edges came loose, so I got myself some shoe goo. I got some shoe goo.
Shoe goo is the shit.
Together like
shoe goo is the shit. I need another. It solved a lot of problems.
I had a pair of Chucks in high school that was mostly comprised of shoe goo and duct tape.
I think that's what they made 3D printers out of. Now that I
I'm
think
pretty
about
sure,
it.
Yeah. Shoe goo and duct tape, yes.
Yeah, there's two cartridges: shoe goo, duct tape. Put them in.
That's good. You can build an empire on shoe goo, really. If you think
Pretty much.
All right. So let's get back to it. Phil.
Yo,
how many events did you have pulled on you for the COVID?
So I do event production as a profession for other event people, for other nonprofits. So I normally do as many as 30 events in a year, and so by the end of April they were all gone. But SOFA is the one that most people know me for because that's the one that I produce myself. So the SOFA Street Fair was supposed to happen in April. So when things all went to hell in March, we quickly decided, I wonder if there's some way we can do this, online. So we all kind of scrambled. People were scrambling to do live stream. There were some people who were doing it and doing it well, but most people were just winging it, So I reached out to a bunch of friends, Rachel being one of them, and a bunch of local artists. And I said, okay, do you know what to do? And they said, well, I've been playing with this. And Sakura was one of the people that said, yeah, I'm going to look into this and figure it out. And so artists just figured it out. And the SOFA event was scheduled to go on April 26th, and we went on April 26th. And so it was supposed to be live and on the street. We had already done all the planning. We had already done a lot of work. And then we quickly flipped it, thinking it was just going to be temporary. I'm like, well, we'll keep all our permits just in case we reopen. Because at that time, nobody knew how long this shit was going to last, right?
Yeah.
So what we did was, and then as artists found out what we were doing, everybody's like, well, yeah, I want a part of this. And it turned out that, for a regular SOFA event, we were doing around between 80 and 100 bands for one of our events out on the street.
Yeah.
And we were getting between 3,000 and 4,000 people attendance. So that was about our regular thing, right? Yeah. So this event online, we had 125 different musicians. And it was an 8-hour event, and everybody just we plugged them in. It's just like, and we instead of stages, we had channels, and so we'd say, okay, you're on the Forager channel at 3 o'clock, and you're on the Caravan channel at 7 o'clock. And so we did all this different, we had all these different channels that people could tune into. And one thing that Rachel did was on the Caravan channel, the bands would have half-hour sets, right? They'd go on for half an hour, then they'd be off for half an hour to encourage people to jump around and see other stuff. But Rachel scheduled bartenders in between on those half hours, so people could actually hang out in a chat room like this with their favorite bartenders and tip them. And so everybody had tip jars, and the bartenders ended up doing really well. The bartenders actually did better than the bands on that day. So they're good for Rachel, but I
pretty usual.
Yeah, but the best thing was that the bands did make money all through tips. It was a free event because SOFA had always been free. But we had 7,000 unique visitors to the site that day, which is like double what we would normally get at a live event. So I think that people were curious and scared and anxious and hungry for music, and so it just kind of everything fell in place. We were, as far as I know, we were the first music festival to kind of get up and online. But you guys, it was all DIY. We did not know what we were doing. There were some Zoom rooms where we hung out and talked, but basically we let every band stream themselves, and we just had links that people could go. So the links would crash, streams would go down, and their Wi-Fi would go off, and people were typing us, and we had a room.
I wouldn't know what that feels like. Not at all.
No.
And Curtis,
that's a myth.
It was still new.
Fake news.
So,
Fake news.
then, we were very happy with the success of that. But since then we figured, in September, everything will be fine. We'll be back outdoors. And as that started to look like it wasn't happening, we tried to figure out a way to go partially live. So in October, we had to postpone it. But in October, we actually had live outdoor stages, but we couldn't have an audience. Mm-hmm. And Rachel was my stage manager for the one. We picked a site. We did it at the arcade there, Level Up, and in their parking lot. And the Odd Numbers played, and a bunch of other really cool bands played.
Yeah, I remember.
So, but they played live, and for many of them, it was the first time they had been on a live stage in 6 months. So that was a beautiful experience. But that one, interestingly, we charged for. Because I felt very strongly that although SOFA had always been free, that this was a time that the audience really needed to learn that they have to pay for music, even if it's online. That the band that you need to pay, and so yes, tip jars are great, but I determined that I was going to pay for the bands, so all the bands got paid for that SOFA, and then people had to pay. It was a sliding scale. You could buy a $5 ticket or a $25 ticket or anything in between. But what we learned was that we had just as many people buy the $25 tickets as bought the $5 tickets. So that restored my faith in San Jose audiences that, okay, people are willing when they have the money. And don't forget, Silicon Valley is not out of work as much as the rest of the country. We have 2/3 of our workforce is working from home.
Yeah.
So there are plenty of people who enjoy music who are getting paid to stay home and work from home. So if we give them something to do on a Sunday, if they've got to pay $25 for it, they'll pay $25 for it, because you know what? They want to give back, and damn it, they can't go out. So so we set up deals with the breweries, and they could go pick up beers, and they could go pick up food to go, right from our website. And so we made it. It was very local. We made sure that the bands were local, and then we started adding some Bay Area bands and stuff. So that was our second event this year since COVID, and then our last one we just did and Monkey participated in was the Christmas show, and that was a blast. And I've got to compliment Rachel on her acting and her performance. as Cindy Lou Who was just amazing.
That was
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
That was one of the best I've ever
I'm thinking
seen.
Oscar.
Yeah,
I really
Oscar.
am.
Yeah.
We
I
did
mean,
a San Jose Oscar.
If they're gonna submit the new Wonder Woman on all of the Oscar nominations, then we should be able to submit Rachel.
We
for-
should submit Rachel. But again, that one was really different because we had everything was pre-recorded. So I paid all the bands to record 1 or 2 songs for us.
Yeah.
So the bands got a small amount of money and they had a tip jar, but then we put it all together as a 2-hour Christmas show, and and then Rachel and her friend Dave just put together this amazing kind of thread that went through it. With skits and commercials, and it looked a lot like a 60s, 70s Christmas special that you'd watch at home on TV, and that's what we were hoping happened. So, so we had, again, we did a sliding scale for that too. We didn't have nearly as many people for that, but then once we showed it for free. On Christmas Day, we showed it 24 hours for free, and so the views got up over 1,000.
Nice.
By that point, so
nice.
yeah. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'll
got the best.
I'll let you know that on the night of that was the last night that Brian was in town in San Jose, and he came over and the band came over and we sat in my basement and watched it and laughed and laughed and laughed. It was so much better. That silly sofa Christmas special was so much better than we thought it could ever be. It was really heartwarming. It was genuine, and it was funny, just raw funny. It was good.
And I got on it that I really liked was somebody said it reminded them of early MTV.
Yeah.
And I really, and especially that you guys did, Monkey, that very much of that.
Yes.
You know, that 1982, 1983 MTV, like everybody's just figuring it, you know, everybody's just figuring stuff, like the vibe of that was so cool. And then, like,
hey, we're doing a music video.
Yeah.
Video killed the radio star.
Yeah.
Someone else not in San Jose watched it and told me they were like, you can see what a cool town that is and how cool the people are in that town. Like, and I was like, yeah.
That's a lot of what we were trying to do.
You know, what makes San Jose so awesome is the people are incredible. You know, the ones of us that are left.
Now we
a lot of people have moved away, but San Jose is just full of awesome people. You know.
Yeah. We were about 3/4 away through like doing just clips to like put our little video together. And like kind of all of us look at Kurt at one point in time because Kurt's just like, all right, now let's go to Micah's house and you guys hug the tree and you play with the little thing over here. And we're like about 2/3 of the way through doing the video and we're just like, dude, is this even gonna be like anything that like makes any sense for like what's going on? And we got all this random shit and then like later that night he's all, here you guys go. We're like, holy shit, that's really, really good. But is this gonna be like in the same like theme of the sofa thing? And then there was like the intro and then the first band went on. It was just, I forget who it was, but it might have been Nahal or whatever, but like they're just in the park like playing acoustic with the microphone there. And I'm like, oh shit, our video is absolutely not going to fit with the vibe of this. And then you came on as Cindy Lou. And I was just like, oh yeah.
There it is. There's the magic.
Yeah.
There it is.
That was
We're gonna try all these drinks tonight. Yeah.
that I film. He had got this Cindy Lou Who wig that because we had this like Grinch introduction, and he said, I want you to film something. I want you to film yourself making a cocktail wearing the wig. And I was like, okay.
And that was the only
it just kind
direction I gave her. That was it. put on the wig and make a cocktail on film. And then she came up with these 3 or 4 bits that were just killer.
It kind of
Just so funny, so funny.
Oh man.
And lest we forget the Grinch. The Grinch showed up as well, and
Yeah.
that was pretty awesome.
The whole thing was fun to do, and it was at a time where I think, and I mean, we're all kind of still there, but when our spirits were especially bleak, you know, when things did not look like they were turning around, or that, you know, before we flipped the Senate, before Biden got confirmed, you know, everything was just all evil and up in the air. Not that it's not still that way now, but
Yeah.
I think one of the most depressing things we were facing was it was kind of at that point where it's November, it's the end of the year. We're not going to be doing music anytime soon, you know. And we were all really depressed, and we were talking about it at our meetings, and just like, and it's once we started going on this event, my attitude completely changed, and I saw it amongst everybody else who was participating, you know.
Yeah.
And the bands that I was calling said, well, I have this idea, and are you willing to do a Christmas song? I only got one person, I'm not going to tell you who it is, I only got one person I reached out to that said, I don't do Christmas. But everybody else said, oh yeah. And you know, people that I didn't expect had already recorded 2 or 3 songs. I'm like, I'm just going to send you a couple things I've already done, you know.
Awesome.
So that's what was nice about it, is everybody jumped on board really, really quickly.
Yeah.
And the producer Dave was very surprised, because 3 weeks out we had maybe 2 confirmed artists, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like saying to Rachel, this shit's never going to happen. And I made some phone calls, and everybody like bang, bang, bang jumped on board. So
Nice.
yellow, and then we went to purple. It
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
it was
Did they have
like,
to
what?
add extra colors?
What happened?
Yeah, I didn't even know purple was there, and all of a sudden we were in
All
it.
of a sudden we're in purple, and it's like, nope, everything you were gonna do is scrapped. All the stuff you guys were gonna scramble.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a question. Your festival usually happens in April.
Yes.
So what are you thinking of? I mean, you talked about, how you did it last year, but what are you thinking about now? Like when you're looking forward?
The funny thing is, every time we do it, I go, okay, now we have a system, we'll do it. And then these assholes convince me to change and do something different, right? So I always think, oh,
We got
yeah,
a
this
vaccine.
is easy. I've got the website all built. I've got this done, you know. And then the guys
Guys,
are,
those assholes. I could be the asshole next time.
oh, you're one of them, Curtis.
Yes. Yes.
I'm talking about people I love on my SOFA team. They convinced me, oh, well, couldn't we just do this? Wouldn't this be great? And so that's how we ended up with the Christmas special. We're talking about doing something for Valentine's Day, but it's coming up pretty quick.
Yeah.
But the city is doing a big San Jose Love promotion.
Mm-hmm.
To kind of put a smile on people's face, and I have a couple surprises that involve this logo that should be kind of fun. So we may do something real quick. That's another pre-recorded thing. But it's just so hard to plan anything, because you never know what freaking color we're going to be in, right?
Yeah.
And,
for sure.
And everybody has a different perspective on what you can and can't do.
Sure.
I mean, and some people will be, by April, I'm hoping that a lot of people will be vaccinated. And at that point, I don't mind putting a band in a room together if they've all been vaccinated. That makes me happy, But
we were talking about that last night. Some of the band members got together for some drinks and stuff last night, and we were talking about, what do we see? What do we see the grand opening of the world like? And it came down to this. We think what's going to happen is there's going to be basically like a card or something that says, I've been vaccinated, I'm cool to be here, Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
But here's the thing: they haven't started. I mean, they give those out, right? And the reason they give them to you is so you can prove you've had the first one when you go for your second one. But there is no plan yet. I don't know if not everybody, Rachel knows this. I don't know if the rest of you know this. I work for the county now. When events went away, I took a job contracting with the county, and I work on their test sites. So there's no plan to, give people a wristband or a tattoo or whatever, or a scarlet letter, to prove that you've had that you've had it. And so there's going to be a whole shitload of people out there who are going to lie about having it so they don't have to wear their fucking mask, and that's the scary part for me. So when you ask when are we all going to get together, it depends on those assholes, it really does. And it kind of always has. The reason we got so deep into this is because of people, and I hope I'm not trying to get political here. I'm talking to you from my experience.
I think we're all
there because people aren't wearing their masks, and that's why we're there. It's such a simple thing. I'm alive. When people go, well, how do you know it works? I'm like, I talk to 150 positive people a day. We're at 15 to 20% positivity. I'm doing 1,000 people a day. That means 150 of the people that I talk to, and I hand them a wristband at the beginning of the day, they're positive. So I know that they're wearing a mask, I'm wearing a mask, and I never got sick. I've been doing this since May, and I never got sick. So don't tell me they don't work. I'm sorry. I'll back up. No. My thing is, if everybody just hunkers down, and I know we're tired, but this is the final stretch here. If everybody just hunkers down and does their shit correctly, we can get out of this. That's
for sure.
But I'm afraid that too many people are going to. There's already people gaming the site. I have to tell you. There's a vaccination site now where you go and sign up for appointments, and people have figured out how to game that shit. And we've got to turn them away when they show up and they say that they're 75 and they're 40. It's like, I'm sorry, you can't get it yet. And it just disrupts the whole process. So people who just they don't play along.
Well,
right? They're not playing nicely.
It makes you nostalgic when someone said, "Well, I'm 21."
Yeah, I know.
I have an ID.
You
I don't know why it's not
game all
laminated.
over.
She's got a phony ID. What do I do with it? Well, has she been vaccinated? Yeah, she's got her papers. Let her in.
Pretty they'll be selling these in Facebook, in the marketplace.
Yeah.
Only $75. I can get you a COVID card.
Oh, I'm sure people are already scanning them in and doing little things with them.
Yeah, I probably should have held it up to the screen just then.
Yeah.
I'm going to get cloned.
Need a vaccination card. I got you a vaccination
card.
Everybody must get cloned.
But you're right. People that won't play along with the system, this is going to take longer. And also because of how much it's been politicized. I mean, 28% of frontline medical workers are refusing the vaccine.
That's national. I want to correct that because here it's only 2% in the Bay Area. Yeah. So the good news is it's a very small percentage here in our county, which is why our lines are so long, because there's a lot of freaking nurses and doctors and healthcare workers. I'm considered a healthcare worker, you guys. That's why I got mine, is because I'm dealing with positive people. But there's a ton of, we still haven't vaccinated all the healthcare workers, and it's taken that long,
Yeah.
I mean, 75% of the population vaccinated to achieve herd immunity. So
it's going to take a long time.
Well, they said that if we had gone the herd immunity route, which the president wanted to lead us to, that there would be a minimum of 3 million people dead.
Yeah, not that kind of made-up herd immunity that the president was talking about. But 75% of the population vaccinated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what achieves herd immunity, not it racing like a wildfire through the country and killing everybody's friends.
Yeah, just burn California down and we'll make a bunch of golf courses.
Yeah. Best course
Yeah.
of action, do nothing. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
What a
That's
shit show.
no,
If they
totally.
paid everybody to stay home for 3 months at the beginning when the fear of coronavirus was at its peak, because now the coronavirus is scarier than it's ever been, and our fear of it is like way down here.
Yeah.
Where at the beginning, our fear of it was like, and we were like not, where we are now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, if the entire country had locked down when we did, it'd be a different story.
yeah.
For sure. Speaking of an entire flaming shit show, Mike, Portland was crazy for a while. Portland was just the center of all of Trump's fury and anger and BLM marches and what was how was it like to live through that?
That was just a weird thing for me because I had to. So I'm a single dad, and so I have my kid going back and forth between two families. So I really try to lock that shit in, and kind of cut. I had my best friend. I only had a couple of people who I was in contact with. So, I really wanted to represent downtown, but yeah, it was like an epicenter of so much vitriol and so much.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I have friends. I know people. I have friends who were on the front lines downtown. Representing, and every day was different. There was like a family, like a children's parade. There was and the amount of people that you saw pour down downtown Portland streets was amazing. And then you've got a fringe element. I mean, you could look at the Trumpers at what just happened. I'm sure a lot of people showed up at that rally the other day, thinking they brought their kids and thought they were gonna support their president that they voted for. But turns into something else. But yeah, we kind of got smeared, and every day was a kind of a different day. It was a long year. It just seemed like every day was just a different day. Sometimes people were, there was a kind of beloved statue of an elk on a fountain. It was actually it was probably put there 100 years ago for horses. It was a watering fountain, pretty much. But they had to wrap it up and remove it, and locally, and it's safe. But when it really came down to it, there was just a fringe element of people, wanted to, smash windows But when it really came down to, if you looked at what was happening in Portland and you went out, you went on Google Maps, you started just going like this, it's like. That's what's happening right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember the map. It was like
what's happening here
right there, and then there's this gigantic, glorious city, like staying indoors and not participating, and that was that's a real eye opener. I think they did the same map for Minnesota when their thing was going.
But
down.
that's our downtown area. I'll wrap up really quickly, but it has affected the economy, and people are upset, and also in general terms of just what we're doing with the COVID. A lot of people are out of business, and downtown is taking a big hit, and. I don't feel bad about how we've done as a city. but it's gonna take a long time to get back. You know, I won't mince words. You know,
Yeah.
Downtown's a mess, but it was a mess before it was a mess. But
Well,
downtown.
oh no! Don't bring that song up. That's the song that the guy in the RV in Nashville played.
Oh God, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, we
I'm
had
from Kentucky, so
I had my buddy on the show about 4 or 5 shows back, and he talked a little bit about that. You know, just being in Nashville and seeing the aftermath of that. He's like, man, the loss of like classic nightclubs and classic restaurants that the city has been known for since the 40s. That's drawn people from all over the world to come to these places. Is just gone. They're just gone. Like windows are blown out. The entire inside is blown. And walls aren't stable, so we got to knock them all down. So that was unfortunate. But you know, I hear that 2021 is going to be a better year.
As soon as it starts. It hasn't started yet. That's my feeling.
Yeah. It's like this is a December 42nd day of December.
December 44.
Yeah.
Awesome.
4 days. We got to get the next 6 days.
Yeah, and for anybody who doesn't know, Rachel has been posting every day, like the number 9,
The
the
count.
number 8, the number
She's
7.
It's
She
not
got that.
You started with like 90 days, didn't you?
No,
well,
You're like-
I started like 130 days. It was ridiculous.
like the Times Square ball.
I was counting down till election day, and then after the results were announced, I started counting down till inauguration. And yeah, at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, 9 a.m. Pacific time, he will no longer be our president.
Yeah.
I'm
That
gonna go
will be
outside and I'm gonna scream.
just
Just like, so yeah.
But he's done so much good for this country. I mean, really, guys.
Bigly goodness.
I will give him only one thing. Only one thing. I will give him the fact that we have not gone to war with another country. We have not added on another war.
Surprise.
And
War on us. He didn't.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no.
Exactly. He's like, oh, you guys like to war? Like, why don't you just fight each other and I'll make out?
It's not, you know. Day one. On day one, you know.
But what kills me is that probably the reason why there aren't wars that were started during this period is not because he didn't want to start them. It's because he didn't want to actually be complicit in any actions that could actually put him in a treason seat.
Oh, what?
He doesn't
Like-
fit treason unless there's an action of war. It has to happen during wartime. So he cannot be hanged by the neck.
Well,
That is the reason. That is the reason.
Iran's got an arrest warrant for him out on Interpol. New York City has a
See,
bunch
that's
of-
why I'm saying that Scotland should let him come during the inauguration to golf, and as soon as he gets off the plane, get arrested by Interpol.
Yeah. I think Interpol needs to they need to stake out every McDonald's, and they'll get him within like 3 hours.
Oh, somebody's buying 20 McDoubles.
Oh, jeez.
Get down there quick.
We kid, but we don't.
No, fuck that guy.
I just want to
I
get
know it's a family show and everything, but fuck that guy.
No, it's not. Fuck that guy.
Awesome.
If this is a family show, then I don't know.
No, you didn't.
We got a pretty fucked up family.
I
I want to see that family.
didn't sign up for that.
All right, so let's talk about the future. Let's talk about the fact that that we all, we have a booker here, we have a manager of a venue here, we have a keyboard player, we have a solo artist, we have two guys from a dopey ass ska band from California. We represent, Nevada,
The Lollipop Hill.
And the Lollipop Hill, and Oregon. What are we going to do to make this better for everybody? How are we going to get the word out? What are we going to do to roll the ball forward? If you guys got an idea of if you guys want to start a club, I'm down. I'll go and I'll build walls and make things happen. Like let's do something.
We'll make a gang. Your gang name will be Pookie Bear. It'll be Pookie Bear.
Pookie Bear.
Yeah.
No, I think we're gonna have to start with outdoor stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's going to be a long time before people are comfortable with sitting in a room with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And there are those of us that are adventurous, that we're going to get our shot and we're going to go different, and there's a lot of people who aren't. And they're gonna stay home until they know that everybody has their shot, and that could take a long time.
Yeah.
So
Right.
So I honestly feel like outdoor venues are where we're gonna start. And I think it's gonna be a very slow climb back to where we were. I think there's plenty of people who are dying for music and who are hungry for music. But still, there's going to be a lot of that. We won't do it in the numbers that we were doing before. It won't be second nature.
Sure.
There'll be a lot more. There's going to be a lot more caution. And I think that if we accept that and we embrace it as, okay, this is kind of what we have to do now, then I think we'll be successful. The problem is, people aren't very good at accepting and doing what they have to do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've proven that. So I think it's going to be a struggle, and I think we're going to have to experiment. I'm involved with an organization that's trying to build a new outdoor venue in St. James Park. And so that I feel like is something that's going to get a lot more attention after this is over, right? Because it is a free outdoor venue that's in a park that people are going to be more like, okay, I'll go to a concert if it's outside, right? But will I go to a sold out show at the arena? Probably not. It's going to take a while before 17,000 people will set foot inside the San Jose Arena. So same with big scale conventions, same with, everybody has to look at, okay, what can I do in between? We're going to have a lot of in between, whether you're calling it a new normal or not. I think there's just going to be a whole shitload of in betweens until we finally get back to where we were. That's how I'm looking at it.
For sure.
So, and that's kind of how it's been all along. I've changed the way I feel about it maybe 177 times. So, in the past 10 months. So, but I honestly think we're going to be taking steps.
Yeah. I agree. Well, go ahead, Mike.
Sorry to jump in. Are you getting cooperation with the city? I mean, how? I haven't heard much about the Portland City Council about how they're going to be supporting live music, in the future. Like, especially, talking about outdoor events, because when you're talking about outdoor events, I mean, some of these, maybe in the Bay Area, they have a lot more places that they're already well established. All the places that what we're probably dealing with are outside, well outside of the city confines. Mm-hmm. So, there are these events that were all big festival events, the Blues Festival, which always happens during the 4th of July weekend. But it's one of those, they call it a blues event, but, everybody plays it. But are you getting
Yeah,
what am I trying to say? Are you getting support about noise and stuff? And
the short answer is yes. And one of the things that we're trying, I think, when music comes back, the city went to this called an alfresco program where they were allowing restaurants to be outside. And in order for that program to work, they basically had to toss all their rules out the window and say, fill out this form and we'll let you open up tomorrow. And that's it became a very simple process. And so one of the things that I think we're going to have to do as musicians and venues and promoters is to kind of make that sort of pop-up thing ready to go. So if the city says, fine, you can do a show, like for instance, when we did our sofa event in Parque de Pobladores, it has a stage built in. So we were able to pay a $65 permit fee and put a band on that stage, right? Yeah. So I think more shit like that, where the city says, okay, please, we need this stuff to come back. So I think that everybody's going to have to think about not the big stuff, the little stuff, taking over parking lots, taking over small parks and doing little shows and moving your opera outside to a park and moving your convention outside to a park. You know, it's just like, that's kind of going to be the in-between. And I think a lot of bands are going to have to look at, okay, I can't just sit back and wait for the venues to open. I have to figure out, you know, how am I going to play music? Okay, well, I know this guy Phil, or I know this woman Rachel, and let's call her and see if we can put our heads together and come up with a show. So I think it's going to be that thinking outside the box, and not just sit in your room and cry and wait for a venue to call you because wants us to play. No, Monkey's going to have to get on the phone and make other stuff happen.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Just to recap on something we talked about long before this conversation, but Porch Fest.
Yep.
Porch Fest. I think that's actually where it starts.
Yeah. No.
Because
I like that idea. And there was, you know, so there's Porch Fest like in Napa, and then Negley Park did a kind of reverse Porch Fest where they didn't put the bands on porches, they put the bands on trucks that drove around and people sat on their porches.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a flip.
Yeah.
And that was quite successful. And what they did was they just took over a neighborhood. And that was, you know, a couple of people putting their heads together saying, how can we make this work within guidelines? And
for sure.
The only caveat, the only warning that I would say to people is those guidelines change. And when you start planning something in March for April, you better be ready to change at the last minute. You got to be flexible because the rules change on Tuesday, and they let you know on Monday that the rules are going to change on Tuesday. So you have to be nimble and you have to be flexible.
Absolutely. Some of the Robert and Mike, do you guys know what Porch Fest is?
I haven't heard of it, but it sounds cool.
I love bacon, so what I'm hearing is
not Porch Fest.
Oh, what?
No.
I finally heard earlier. I was like, oh, that sounds really good. It's like,
Mike, let's talk more about this Pork Fest. Let's get this going.
Of course, my rabbi's gonna parachute in and chop my head off.
Believe me, I want a Pork Fest as much as everyone else does. But for the people that aren't aware of what Porch Fest is, it's basically the city and the bands and the artists and everybody get together and they call people in the neighborhoods that are super cool, that are like, hey man, do you mind if a band just sets up on your front lawn and just plays for, you know, like we'll have like 5 bands and all you have to do is supply electrical energy for their backline, and the city will send you a basket of flowers and a big thank you. And it is amazing when it's done right.
Mhm.
It is amazing when it's done right, because not only are the people engaged because they want to check these bands out, and there's a lot of commotion in a neighborhood, but also the people that want to support this and don't know how to support it can step up and say, yeah, you know what, plug into my house. I will pay the $15 or whatever it costs for the power for the next 3 hours, and cycle like 4 bands through. So it's really ingenious, and I think that
And it exposes a neighborhood to the positive vibes of a music festival. I mean, you guys all know what it's like walking around on a day in any kind of music festival, you know. And so this is you bringing that energy to a neighborhood, and it's transformational. It really does amazing things. And the people who have done it, they did it 2 years ago, and Monkey was part of it. You were kind of the final band. They did it over in Northside, and it was very popular. And that's a neighborhood where a lot of people do have porches, you know. So there were people on porches, on lawns, and you could just walk around the neighborhood and go, oh, I hear music in that direction, and you kind of walk down the block, and then you hear another band in the other direction. So
yeah,
it's a great idea.
It's a great event, and I agree with you, Curtis. I think that would be a great way to kind of kick this off.
For sure. Oh no, Rachel's camera is off.
I plug in. I'm at 5%.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
One of those 5%ers, eh?
We know about you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I just realized that my daughter has the good charger, so my iPad may die regardless. If I pop out of here.
Oh,
It happens.
That's like when I was a kid, my mom, you know, there was the good scissors and you couldn't touch. It's like, where's the good scissors?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The good charger.
How dare you try to cut paper with my fabric scissors? These are my fabric scissors.
That's
Excellent.
right. Don't use them for anything else.
Not a damn thing else.
Well, hey, it's been super fun seeing all you guys. I mean, we don't nearly get enough exposure as participants in entertainment, and you know, I think even people that have been going to the San Jose shows for years don't know who Phil is. You know, Phil is like the silent, you know, the silent workman's hand behind all of this stuff, and it's just really, it's really good to see that so many people will come forward and just, you know, contribute and try to come up with ideas, you know, try to make this thing happen, because it's a lot of people are hurting, a lot of people are deciding whether or not they want to participate in and to give to the artistic lexicon of humanity, and I think that that's the wrong way to go. I think right now we should be pushing and exercising every possible venue that we can until the world is better again. So
it's music and art that's getting people through all of it.
It really is, and we're not getting enough credit for it.
Yeah, and where would we be without any of that within all of this insanity? You know?
Man, we would be just sitting in our room being fucking depressed.
I mean, I think in a small way, this has been a great thing for musicians to realize that, because what I always talk to people about is, like, you have social media, you have an open mic every second of the day, and like people never used it, but I used it. Before my phone broke, I would record a song in my bathroom every single day when I got home. I would just record a song and whatever, post it, and I always felt like it's more for me, you know. It's more for me to go back and be like, I did something, and let me go back and look at it and let me see where I'm at. And I think so many bands, right when this happened, all these people that have these great voices and these great songs finally put them up on the internet instead of just having them be on a CD where no one ever hears it.
Yeah.
I burned a girl a CD, and she's like, "Oh, I don't have any way to play this or listen to it." I'm like, "Oh no!" Like social media is such a it's such a great thing if you use it properly.
Yeah.
Like it's there, and I think what's great is like the show you're doing never would happen.
Yeah.
There's so many things that like it taught us that like we need to be a little bit more like engaged with these forums, with Facebook or Instagram. It gives you, and if you're new to music or you're just learning, it's a great way to like post it and get better and have your mom and your brother like it.
Yeah.
My mom is typically the only person I know that's gonna like every video I post. So I'm like, okay, my mom likes it. That's cool. I'm good. But I think we all learned like a thing that we were all avoiding.
Yeah.
That
We
all connected.
Can you, for inspiration, kind of simulate one of your bathroom sessions that we're talking about?
What is that?
he wants you to.
Oh, your bathroom sessions, yes.
Oh, my bathroom sessions are gone.
Note to self. We're talking about.
Well, I mean, I have the parts. But I would just come home and I'm kind of weird where my main thing that I used to do was improv. So I kind of just come up with stuff. I don't have a hard time making up a song.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems probably unusual for some people, but for me, I'm like, I don't know. I can't. I write the same song about a girl that doesn't like me every single time. But, but it's different every time, I don't know.
And this time I called her Carla. The last time she was Jennifer.
Yeah, see? It's a different girl,
Different song.
It's a different type of rejection. It's different.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for everybody for hanging out. We've got Mike Birenbaum from all the
Easy Big Fella
bands, all the great Portland ska
Easy
bands.
Big Fella.
Yes, Easy Big Fella. I'm like Easy Big Fandaluza, Easy Big the sentiment.
The sentimental Easy Big Duluth.
One of these days we just have to have a band called Birenbaum.
Well,
and it's just you and a bunch of people supporting you.
Well, we didn't talk about that, but that's kind of I'm my duties to all the bands are over with. There's nothing to. There's nothing but me now.
No.
So who knows what's going to happen? I'm kind of anxious. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been at the helm. So I'm actually kind of wanting to grab the bull by the horns and
sea captain.
Yeah. Right.
Excellent. Yes, sea captain. Anyway. Yes, play us out.
Who lives in a cupboard under the sea? SpongeBob SquarePants. All right.
You're killing me. All right. We got Mike Birenbaum, we got Rachel Warner, we got Phil Maresca, we got Robert Stokes, and we got, last but not least, we got Brian holding down the fort. And I'm Curtis with Monkey. This is the Bidness. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
So long, everyone. Bye, everyone.